This meeting is being recorded. Thank you. It's like I said, it's the last day in the month of May. Sorry, I said March earlier. And we should be grateful to God for the privilege and for the gift of life. So if you are grateful for the gift of life, I want you to drop in the chat session how grateful you are. I am grateful for the gift of life. Can we just drop a word of gratitude to God for the privilege? Grateful beyond words. Thank you, Eniola. While we also do like a reminder to as many that are supposed to be here, can we just do our gratitude for the gift of life? We are grateful for the gift of life, grateful for grace, grateful for privilege. We give glory to God. Thank you so much, Mommy Mo. Grateful for grace, grateful for mercy, grateful for the peace and health that we enjoy. Let's show our gratitude. Let's show our gratitude. Guys, I am not using this to while away the time. The meeting has started, and it's a good thing we are starting the meeting with gratitude. Let's also do reminder to as many people that are supposed to be here. We are grateful. May is the 5th month in the year, and gradually we are getting to the half of the year. We are entering the 6th month tomorrow. We've got so many reasons to be grateful. So I want you to, if you are here in the room, I want you to drop a word of gratitude, appreciating God for the gift of life and for the privilege. So welcome once again to everyone. This is the May edition of the family meeting, and we are commemorating 3 different celebrations in the month of May. We are commemorating the International Day of the Boy Child. We don't celebrate them enough. We don't celebrate them enough. If you have a boy child, you know that they are precious and should be celebrated. So let us appreciate God for the gift of life and the gift of the boy child in our lives. So we are commemorating the International Day of the Boy Child, the International Day of the Family, that is being observed by the United Nations on the 15th of May every year. We as an organization went to Benin for the African Family Life Delegates Conference to celebrate the International Day of the Family. And the most recent celebration is the Children's Day. So happy Children's Day to every child in the room. Guys, I really want to read. I need the feedback. I don't want to be alone on this call. Are we not grateful for anything? Are we really saying we are not grateful? We should be grateful. You can even join this call. Then you have a reason to be grateful. I'm still trying to read, and I think I just saw only 4 people who are grateful. So if you have a child, we are saying Happy Children's Day to every children on the call. Davina, Bamishe, you know, we say Happy Children's Day to you guys. I'm sure you want to say, I'm an adult. I remember my daughter sending a message to me, Mommy, that was around 3 p.m. Mommy, not even happy children's. I said, excuse me, you are the one that's always telling me, you always remind me that, Mommy, I'm not a child anymore. Why are you saying I should tell you happy Children's Day, you know? And even I am a child because you're given birth to by somebody. So happy Children's Day to everyone on the call. So, so I'm wishing every child happy Children's Day. So as I was saying, in the month of May, on the 15th of May, we observed the International Day of the Family, and we went to Benin to celebrate that. And it was an amazing one, a beautiful conversation. So many things came up, so many things that we don't usually think of, so many things we don't pay attention to, so many things that we don't see that are slipping off our hands. And I just felt, no, let's treat this topic again, at least to celebrate these three things: the boy child, because something is happening in the boy's face. Some of us, the way we are treating our boys, you know, the family, International Day of the Family, and the Children's Day. You see that this is a family month, and there's a need to go back to our roots as regards family, what family really means, what family really represents for us. And so we are celebrating this. And then I brought the love and legacy. The love and legacy is a very dear topic to my co-hosts. For those of us that are conversant with the family meeting in September, Blessing Christopher started joining me in co-hosting this show. And love and legacy is a very dear topic to her. As a matter of fact, on the 4th of May, she hosted a physical meeting where she gathered young people to talk about love and legacy. But unfortunately, Blessing passed on the 7th of May. It's a very, 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 very emotional day for me today because since September, this is the first time I'm hosting this meeting without her. And I want to seek your indulgence to just have a 1-minute silence for her as we remember her. So guys, I just want us to observe a 1-minute silence for my co-host, my precious Blessing Christopher. May Blessing's beautiful soul rest in perfect peace. I want to also ask for everybody's indulgence to join us in praying for her family, her husband. She has a mother, she has a father, and her children. So, guys, I hope once again you are ready to give glory to God. You're ready to say your gratitude. If not for anything, for the gift of life. I tried not to have this meeting today because I thought I owe it to her. But at the same time, I thought of it that what would she want me to do? I know she wants me to continue. And that's why I'm doing this. So we're going to be talking about our heritage. I sent a broadcast out this afternoon to say, are we really aware that the elders are aging and they are gradually passing? And if we don't talk about some things that are very important to us, then we might be doing ourselves a lot of disservice. Admin, could you please spotlight me? Admin, please spotlight me. Somebody else is being spotlighted. I don't know. Thank you, everyone, for the condolences. Admin, I'm waiting. Could you please spotlight me?
You're on the spotlight,
Thank
Mother.
you.
You've been.
Thank you. And please mute everyone. Thank you. So our heritage are our traditions, our culture, those beliefs, those values that we hold dear to our heart. And legacy, as I was talking about, is the impact or the effect that someone or something leaves behind. It's an impression that we leave on the people that are taking over from us. And so it means that our heritage, our culture, our custom, our values, our beliefs shapes the legacy that are being passed down. And so it is very important because heritage is the roots that connect our past, which makes the legacy the fruits. Our legacies are the fruits that our heritage passed down to us. And if we are not paying attention to how this thing is affecting our lives, or will affect our lives, or will affect the generation unborn, then we'll be doing ourselves a lot of disservice. This evening, I am here with 3 people. I have 2 Gen Zs. They are going to be representing the other Gen Zs that we all have in our houses. So they will be representing the Gen Zs. I want to believe most of us on this call falls between the millennials and the baby boomers. And so to balance it, I have a baby boomer who is in our midst that will remind us of some of the things that we millennials are leaving behind as we are raising our children. And these children are telling us, they remind us every day by their behavior, by their actions, by the decisions they make. They remind us every day of what our parents were trying to avoid for us, that we felt was too harsh. No, it's old school. And so some of us made up our minds that we don't want to raise our children the way we were raised, which is also nice, which is fair enough. We don't want to raise our children the way we were raised. But are we saying we should totally throw away those things, that the legacies that were passed down to us by our own parents, Are we saying we should totally throw them away? I don't think so. A woman called me this afternoon. They were trying to invite me for an event, and we got talking, and she said, I am the leader of the teens church in my church. And I was asking my son, will you marry somebody like your mom? And my son said no. She said, I was shocked. The Gen Zs are not going to mince their word. They see what they are seeing it. They don't like it. They don't want it, and they won't hide it. But we try to, in fact, we label our parents. We give them names. We make up our mind that we don't want to have them come babysit. We don't even, I can't leave my child for my mom. You know, those decisions we made growing up, you know, because they were trying to correct us, because they were trying to put us on a particular direction, because they feel that's the best way. And I said something. I said, I don't think we should totally throw it away. Even if we think the method is wrong, there's a way to bring it. So we're going to be talking about all these things. And so that I won't waste our time, I have Davina Elesi in the room. Davina Elesi, admin, please, I need you to spotlight Davina and Oluwabamiche. I also have Oluwabamiche in the room. Hi, Davina.
Good evening.
Thank you for always joining me.
No worries. No worries. It's a blessing to be here.
Thank you. So I'm still going to allow you introduce yourself. I have Oluwabamiche. So for this first panel, I'm going to have Davina and Oluwabamiche on the call. Admin, please let's have Oluwabamiche spotlighted. We can have 3 of us spotlighted, admin. Oluwabamiche is also here. And I just remember, you know, when I was praying for this, I remembered some of the things we do. A lot of learnings, a lot of wisdom were passed down on our dining table when we are eating. And because we always eat together, right? Even though I was from a polygamous home, my dad ensured that happened. Of course, to some point before everybody started growing wings. But at the initial stage, she actually ensured that happened. And if it was your turn to wash plates, you'll be so in a hurry because we moved the gist from the dining table to the sitting room, and we continue the gist from there. And we are gisting, we are laughing. Anytime my grandma is around, she will tell us the story of how they used to trek to the farm, how they will meet ghosts on the way, and all those stories. And so I could remember a lot of things that were passed down to me. Love is one of them. And that is why we'll be having the conversation around love and legacy. Please, who is behind the admin today? Are we good? Admin, are we good? I need you to spotlight Oluwabamiche. Oluwabamiche, can you please enable your camera so that... Already. Okay, his camera is enabled.
He's on spotlight already.
What?
He's on spotlight already.
Okay, I can see only family house. Maybe it's my setting. I'm seeing family house spotlighted. I can see the family house alone spotlighted. Anyways, So today I'm going to be questioning, and I have told them when I was chatting with them that please, I need you to be authentic. I don't want you to feel, oh, mommy's in the house. Oh, I don't want them to see me as a bad child and all that. I want you to give us as it is. You're going to be our soundboard representing the children. And I want you to answer every question with authenticity. And ladies and gentlemen in the house, um, please feel free to also drop your questions. If you have questions for any one of them, please feel free to drop your questions. So my question we go to Bamishi. I hope you allow me to do ladies first here, even though we are fighting for gender equality. But please allow me to do allow me to do ladies first. So Davina, I want you to tell me what's one traditional or cultural practice that has been passed down to you from your parents or grandparents, any one of them that you have witnessed. If you witnessed any of your grandparents, what's that special thing about them that that is traditional or cultural, that is being passed down, that's been practiced and passed down to you, that you think you can take on? Yeah, thank you very much.
Okay. Well, thank you, Miss Evan. My name is Davina Eleshin, as she's already introduced me. And to give a bit of background culturally, my dad is Yoruba from Ikiti, and my mom is Edo from Benin. So I'm a product of an interethnic marriage. Okay, so that's first. Then I spent, when it comes to grandparents, I think I spent more time with my mom's side, grandparents wise, than my dad's side, because my paternal granddad died in 2010. I was 4, so I can't really remember much from when when he was alive and when he was around. And then my paternal grandma lived with my family when I was younger, but then she died in, I think, 2015 or 2014, and I was about 8. So I can't, for some reason, I can't really remember a lot of things that happened to me from like 8 above. It's more of like 8 beyond that I can't remember of my life. Now, when Dr. Ebon asked me this question, I was thinking to myself, hey, which one do I now say? Because the only thing I can think of right now is food and family gatherings. So the food one is on both sides of my family. On my mom's side, whether I love banga, I can't explain the love I have for banga. There's a way I do like a little dance. And there's just a way that food has the ability to connect people. That's why we see a lot of things about food documentaries or cultural documentaries relating to food. Food has this perfect way of connecting people that are eating it and then people that have eaten it before. And now relating to family gatherings, my mom's side, they're very, very extroverted. I don't want to say it's Benin people in general, but at least my mom's side, they're very, very extroverted, outgoing. I like the loudness. I can't explain it, but I do. I really do love the loudness. And I remember when I was like 10, 12, we would go to my grandma's house and then all the adults would be in the sitting room talking, gisting, and then the kids would be in the kitchen. And now that I've moved, I'm 18, so I'm kind of almost, I'm not yet the adult, but I'm not the child anymore. So I can just sit down on the adult conversations now at like Thanksgiving or Christmas, and I'm just there looking and smiling. And I love, it's like organized chaos. And I refer to this as a tradition. I wouldn't say it's like cultural traditional, but it's deeply rooted in who I am as like a Nigerian, as a Benin girl. And it's definitely something I'm going to pass on to my kids, to be able to see my siblings and I and our cousins have loud but insightful discussions where one person is talking about the other person and one person is laughing and that person is gisting, and then like you said, I'll go upstairs and I'll be running back down so I can hear what somebody else said. And I just love that. It makes me feel at home, and being able to have it with my friends, even at my youth program and at school, it just reminds me a lot about home. So the food and just family gatherings are the two things that have
The
been passed
food,
down.
the food and the family gathering. That's weird because these days your generation don't even want to gather anywhere with family, you know. They just
Oh,
want to
that's
be
not
on the phone.
accurate. No. No.
So I like that. And even the food, you know, your generation don't want to eat. They don't want to eat. You eating banga, really? Like really? Some of
Ask
them
my
don't even
mom.
know what it is. It's Indomie, rice, and all that. And so, yeah, this generation, I don't know. I was still telling one of my friends with say, we need to let our children know that they need to eat LB because all this Indomie is not food. What's fast food? They just want to do something fast, bread, you know. So thank you very much, Davina, for sharing that. Indeed. Thank you so much. I really was looking forward to somebody that would say, we don't have any culture that they are passing down. But I'm glad that at least this is very encouraging to say that, okay, we still have some people, we still have family who sees the importance in doing something like this and they are doing it. Kudos to Madam Election and Daddy Election. Oluwabamishe, I want to hear your own side. I want to hear the gist, the male perspective.
Good
Hi,
evening, everybody.
Oluwabamishe. Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you so much for having me. So straight into it. My name is Abolari Babach. I'm a graduate of mass communication. Yeah, finished last year. Anyways, so for this side, right? I'm going to give you a little bit of background.
Okay.
This thing that Davina spoke about is very relatable, but at the same time, for me, it's relatable in a distance, kind of, because I didn't really have like my actual, like my biological grandparents. I didn't meet them. My mom's mom died when she was like 13 or something, or like, I think younger than that, and my dad passed as well. My actual grandfather from my father's side, my father, grandfather, grandmother died before I came, so I didn't meet any of them. So yes, I experienced going to the village. My dad kind of encouraged it, and yeah, initially when I was a bit younger, I kind of enjoyed it because it was a time that like my cousins came around, and my dad used to really tell us stories like how his dad was a peasant farmer and how they used to go to the farm in the morning and all that. So whenever I went to the village, I just always had that, was like I was trying to replay his life, what he has done there. So, but like I wasn't really into the feel of it because I didn't have my actual grandparents there. It was just me trying to like still enjoy it regardless and like relate with just my cousins. Because at the end of the day, most of them were not really, really related to me, like my actual biology. It's just okay, this person stayed in your father's house. Do you understand? So like that connection wasn't there like that. I just tried to still enjoy it. But after a while, you know, I moved on from it. So and I'm not really in touch with some of my cousins, and that's the reason why, because never really felt like that connection was there from the beginning. So, but
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
it's like, and it kind of affects what I want to, like how I decided to portray like my home, in the sense that like I want a sense of like, everybody has to be like together, right? I hope, and we only pray for long life, that okay, my children will actually miss my father and my mother. But like regardless, even if it's my brother and my sister, like let it be a real connection, because I really didn't experience it. So it's like something that is there. But one heritage that I really want is the um respect that comes with my culture. I'm a Yoruba boy, so and I'm a Yoruba boy to the core.
To the
I
core.
have to, yes, the core. Like I have to dobale. Like is no matter what it is, so like that one is there. I think some weeks ago I was talking to my auntie, and like was a video call though, and she was not in the country, and I was greeting her, and I was on my bed. So someone was talking to her, and she just on the phone say, "Ah, Bamshi is here." Oh. And I was like, "Good evening, I mean, good afternoon, auntie." She was like, "Ah, who are you greeting like that?" And I had to go to the floor, even like on the video call to portray that, please, oh, I'm on the floor. So yeah, it's like so you can imagine what it's like. So I know that's it, like that respect just comes with whether, and sometimes it's not even really about the age, but respecting everybody is just like sort of part of the back culture. When you see, but it's just, what thoughts when you see an elderly woman, when you see like an elderly man, you do this. Like sometimes you even have to go out of your way to help people. I started. I know that I had like difficulties in deciding who and who not to help because I kind of was trained with the fact that once you have the power to help people around, but then it started to be a thing of like, in Nigeria now, you don't know, well, especially in Lagos, you don't know who you can help and who you cannot help. Like even the 100 naira that you have that you actually want to give, yeah, yeah, second guessing is that this guy is just, he's not actually in need, and I need that 100 naira too. So yeah, but like the heritage of respect is like something that I hold dear to me, and when I sort of bring it down to what we're trying to talk about, it has also exposed my eyes to see love with respect. But uh, let me not get into what.
Oh, thank you very much, Oluwabamiche. I love the three parts that you raised, but my question for the first one that you raised about, okay, you didn't really meet your grandparents, but your dad tried to take you to the village and you met some distant cousins and all that. What about your relationship in your family, your own nuclear family, your father, your mother, and your siblings? Is there anything? And I was going to
No,
also ask, why did you cut off? What happened to the cutting off from the extended cousins?
okay, so let me start with the latter question. I did not cut off from my cousins, so to say. I'm just saying because I'm saying I think I attacked it directly. I'm saying because of that, which I've already explained, there is no like real relationship. It's just like what we grew like those times that we'd be in the village and we play together, and then everybody goes back to their normal life, school resumes, and I don't hear from this person till like maybe next year I eventually now don't go to the village, or the next year I go, that person doesn't come. So maybe next time I'll see is like another 3 years. So there was like even the little time that you would have used to gain some sort of closeness, it didn't really happen. So I'm just saying that I feel like if I had somebody that I knew that okay, this person was like really, really my actual relation, and then there was time to spend with each other, the dynamics of our relationship would have been different. So I'm not saying I cut off. I'm just saying that
Okay. Okay,
yeah,
thank you very much for throwing for shedding light to that. This thing about going to the village is one thing that we are losing. And my friend I was talking to last week said, "Hey, this one that jack buying people that are even going out of the country, it's making it worse. And if care is not taken, our children might end up marrying each other in the future." And these are the things that I remember our parents were always talking about. So we used to go to the village. In fact, if the meeting is on the 24th and we have to leave Ilori on the 24th, maybe we will have, even if it is 7 p.m., my daddy will make sure that we go. I didn't have that relationship with my mother's family like that, but my dad's family, yeah, those ones are always coming around. And so I understand the joy when Davina used the word the noise. It's the noise is always very sweet. It's sweet noise, very, very exciting, sweet noise. Everybody is excited and we're all doing everything, going up and down and all that. And I see a lot of families, maybe these two families, the Elesin and the Oluwabamiche family, maybe they are able to keep some of those things. But the truth is, a lot of families these days are not doing that. And Mommy Mo will talk more on some of those things. Bamishe mentioned the greeting. We are now in the era of, hi, Auntie Abo. That's greeting. Like a 12-year-old niece talking to me, I say, you guys, I'm like, hey, I'm not a guy. If you're going to use auntie. Don't call me guy. Don't bring it here, you know. And some parents just see it as, well, what's the big deal? You know? And I keep asking, what are we passing down? Because if care is not taken, these children that we are not correcting now, that we are not passing down the right legacy, will come back to haunt us. They are the ones that will cause us pain in the future if care is not taken. So thank you very much, Oluwabamiche, for giving us this beautiful thing, this beautiful story about family. But going back now, I want to ask Davina. So we're moving on. What does legacy mean to you? What does legacy mean to you, and how does it relate to your relationship with your parents?
Okay. I'm going to quote from one of my favorite musicals. It's called Hamilton. And a bunch of the songs were written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. He's the same person that did the first Moana and like other Disney films. And in one of his songs, The World Was Wide Enough, he said that legacy is planting seeds in a garden you'll never see.
Mm.
Let's say that again. Legacy is planting seeds in a garden that you'll never see. And the reason why that resonated with me so much is I would read books like Hunger Games. That's probably my favorite book series. And if you actually take the time to read all the books that in the series, you'll see how a character from like the 20th Hunger Games is doing stuff and it's affecting people in the 50th, in the 75th, in the 76th. So it's like things that we're doing now, we're planting the seeds, but it's affecting people further on. We may be there, we may not be there further on and in the future. So that's a definition of legacy that definitely resonates with me. Doing things like 10 questions with Davina, because I have a podcast where I have discussions with people and we talk about different topics, like family included. And I see that as a big part of my legacy, what I will leave behind, because we now know that social media and like YouTube, internet, it's written in ink. People say it's written in ink. So it's hard to get rid of it. There are so many videos I've posted that, God forbid, if anything happens to me today, tomorrow, or like in the future, people can still go back and gain. I was watching a video that I made from 2022. And these are conversations that I completely forgot about. And I was like, wow, how did I forget about this thing relating to friendships and how to manage them and how to cut people off when you need to safely, but also how to not cut people off because sometimes we do it too much. Okay. So that's something relating to legacy that comes to mind. And the other part of your question that you said, how do I think it relates to my relationship with my parents or the adults in my life? A legacy I'm trying, and I say I'm trying because I'm still in progress, to leave behind is to be connected with my family around me. Because as much as I said that, yes, my family on my mom's side and I, we gather during like Thanksgiving, the ones in Calgary with me, like Thanksgiving, Christmas, etc. I can resonate with what Bamishe was saying, that we are not like the bond that my mom and her siblings have and the bond that my dad and his siblings have aren't the same that my cousins and I have. I don't expect it to be the same, but they aren't the same. I was thinking about a cousin that I've not talked to since like 2016, not because we did anything bad to each other. It's just that we were not raised to have that kind of bond. I grew up in Lagos, she grew up in the UK. We see each other like once in 5, 6 years, etc. And before we used to have general family meetings, but I guess everyone got busy. So just learning how to one, be connected with family. One of my uncles said that I'm my own government. And it was funny in the moment, but it made me think that, wow, okay, for me to be my own government in like at 18, when I don't even have a 9 to 5 or kids I'm thinking about, imagine how much harder it will be to connect with people when
Oh, yeah.
when I actually have reasons to disconnect. When I'm 30, when I'm 35, when I have a sick child with like chickenpox, etc., and I actually have a reason to disconnect. So that's a seed I want to plant in my garden. And I want my kids, my grandkids, to be able to see that they can connect with my sister's kids. I was telling Grace that my kids will basically be her own kids, like her own, because she wants to have four, I want to have two. And I was just saying that so that I can get a free nanny. But I'm actually being serious that because she loves children. And I want our kids to be able to have a proper bond better than what I have now with different cousins. So,
Wow. Thank you very much, Davina, for sharing. Parents in the room, I hope we are listening to these children beyond what they are saying. Because Davina said something about the relationship between her mom and her siblings, the relationship between her dad and their siblings. We're still talking about those generations. But the relationship between her and her own cousins is not really it's not really so close like the other ones, like their parents' own. So I hope we are seeing beyond. I don't know what intentional actions Mommy Mo will tell us to start doing, because I remember my own daughter, she's the only one in Nigeria. Every other person, they're out of the country. And so she has not seen them in maybe like 4 years. And this last December, they decided to do the 31st. In those days, on the 31st, everybody gather in the grandparents' house. So this year, they decided to do a virtual hangout. And they all loved it. They were so happy that they can connect. They do the individual calls, but that they now do the virtuals. The parents were there, the grandparents were there, and it was so exciting. So these are intentional actions, intentional moves we need to start making. And again, millennials, maybe it's because we are busy or we are trying to make money, I don't know, but we are losing some things that will affect. Do you hear what Davina said? Legacy is planting a seed in a garden you will never see. That was deep. So what seed are we planting in this garden, in our children, that by the time this seed is germinating, you are not there? By the time this seed is germinating, you are not seeing it. Bamisha said he prays that his parents will be around when he is having his children, so that his children will meet and know his. See, that definition that Vina just gave, planting seeds in a garden you will not see. That really struck me hard and deep. So Bamisha, are you there? So thank you very much, Davina. I'm just saying, parents, I'm calling attention to the parents. Are we really paying attention to what these children are saying beyond what they are saying? Because it is deep. They are giving us message. They are telling us some things that are very important. So if we are lacking, if any parent is here and is lacking in any of those things, you want to go back to school. I remember Suleiman Ale, he said we should go back to school. And that was when he was talking about pizza is pizza everywhere, all over the world. Pizza is pizza. But our akara has become bean cake. Why is akara not akara in the Western world? Why are they changing it? So gradually, these are the things that our exposure, the things we like. We don't want to do it like our parents. We want to do it like the Western world. These things these children are talking about, they are the subtle effects of some of the decisions we are making. Am I saying we should do the old school way? No. I'm just saying, is there a way we can put it together? Is there a way we can harmonize it? We can't balance it, but is there a way we can harmonize it? Right? Thank you very much. Yeah, Bamishe, yeah. I want to ask, have you ever felt like you're being pushed to carry on a family legacy or tradition that does not really feel like the authentic you? Is there any family legacy that is being passed down, maybe culturally, traditionally? I know that the spiritual is always there, but culturally, tradition, is that a legacy, is that a family legacy that is being passed down to you, and you want to be your authentic self. You don't really like it.
Well, yeah, like you say, thank you for that question.
Yeah.
So, for me, first, I'd like to say that I think that I'm privileged that I have like great parents and like they are doing well with their with the legacy that they are living on, right?
Beautiful.
When you say something being like a legacy that is being pushed, now one thing that stands out for me when it comes to like my parenting and mother is whenever really wherever any of us is right now is a very solid decision of is a contribution of our decision and their decision. Whenever forced to do it. Like so right now, any position you find yourself, you know that a greater percentage is because that is what you want. So but I think one legacy that I must say is pushed down is the fact that you sort of have to consider what other people are going to think or what other people are going to say. I feel like it's unconsciously being passed down. I don't know if at the end of the day there's anything that can really be done about it. But like we have parents that are conscious about like if you want to make a decision or if you decide to do something, you know you're going to hear like it's not just about them and their opinion and what they think. It's also like what is my friend going to say? Like what am I going to tell my friend? So what am I going to tell my friend that I are not that I are doing? Like so how am I going to explain this to this person? Like this person came to ask me that did me that allowed you to. So like always considering what like other people are going to have to think. And I mean, right from time I've always been, you know what, I really don't like this, and I want to grow and have a space where it can be just me and my kids, and it's not really about what anybody has to think. It's about what we both have to think and our stand, like what is guiding our decision, right?
Mm.
So we'll check so for anybody, it could be spiritual, it could be and different ways spiritually, however it is for you, just have principles that guide your decisions. Then check the principles. Let it be between me and you. I believe that the child is like a slate. Whatever we write on it, that's what it's going to display eventually. So just do your own part. Let it be you and your slate, not really about what anybody else is going to have to
What
think.
do you feel?
But yes, sometimes the what people would have to say might matter in some cases. So finding a balance is also very important. But it should not. It should. I think what the legacy kind of is right now is there's more focus on what people are going to have to say than how they feel themselves.
And that does not sit well with you, is it?
Uh, no, no, not really. It doesn't. I would rather that it is about me and you, and let's leave every other person. Let's leave me and you. If it's that you don't like it, okay, good. Then what do I think? Can I compromise for you? Not that you don't like it because some people are not going to like it.
Mm. That's deep. Thank you very much, Bamishe. And I like this one that you brought in because yes, so I know how it feels. My daughter will be like, "Mommy, anybody's opinion is their opinion. This is what I want to do. Let them talk." So I know what you're saying, and I know that yeah, we do it. We just want to look perfect. We want everything to look perfect in our friends' faces, you know. And so we don't want our children to misbehave so that they will not say, ah, is that not your child that did something? Like, you guys have your life to live. We should allow you live, right? Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Parents, are you listening? Your friends are your friends. They are not your children's friends. Don't put pressure on these children. Mommy Mo will help us balance all those things, right? Because I'm going to bring her on very soon. Thank you very much, Mommy Mo. We appreciate your patience. And we are I'm looking forward to hearing because I see you're smiling, you're listening to all these things and you're smiling. So I know that we're going to get a lot from you this evening. Parents in the house, if you have any question, please feel free to ask these Gen Zs. They are representing your children. All these things they are saying, they are the things on your children's minds. They are not just telling you. They want to have family. They want to, all the greeting, the ballet on the phone. Those are the things, you see. And they don't want you saying, ah, don't compare me. It is their life. It's my decision. It's not anybody's decision. I hope we are listening. So, Davina, the next question is, how do you think parents can better communicate with their children? So now you are talking to us.
Yes.
You have told us everything, the experience and all that. So how do you think parents, I know I have asked you this question before, I think last year or 2 years ago, but I know you are wiser now, you have grown, you're more mature now. How do you think parents can communicate better with their children about their expectations and values?
Thank you. The first thing that comes to my mind is explaining the why behind it. I don't know about everybody else, but my mind constantly asks, when I'm told something at least, I ask why. And it's almost like that's probably why I like math a lot, because you ask why, yes, but there are some things you don't really get a why to, so it keeps me in peace. But when I'm told some things like, okay, there was one time that my uncle was like, okay, close the door every time you leave the room. And I was like, but no problem, but why? And then he explained to me that most of the doors here are fireproof. So if anything happens, the fire from downstairs, it will take less time for it to get to anyone inside the room if the door is closed compared to if it's open. I was like, okay, now that makes sense. So explaining the why behind it. And another example I can state, and I'm referring to my auntie and my uncle because my parents, I see my siblings and I to be raised by not just our parents, but like everybody around us. Because I went to boarding school at 12. I will be back home for like holidays. Then I left Lagos at 16. So I left my parents' house at 16. And from 16 to now, I've been living with relatives. So I've been really like a communal, people who drop things, sort of insights. And a lot of the values that I have today are not just from my parents, but also different people around me. So more on that question is, as an 18-year-old and as a 12-year-old, we're at different stages. One person just wants to go to school at 12 or doesn't want to go to school, secondary school, and the other person is trying to hang out with friends and etc. And a bunch of the things that relate with how to handle yourself in public, I did not know. So when my aunt would be like, okay, my uncle even said Jesus didn't go everywhere, so you shouldn't go everywhere too. And I was like, okay. But he didn't just say that, he explained the reason behind it. Because you can't just every single invite, you just say yes, 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 yes. Another thing was my aunt, something that I'm trying to add to my own values today is always have a third party around. And initially I was like, what do you mean always have a third party around? Am I not supposed to trust people? But she was like, you wouldn't know. If someone is plotting against you, you don't know until it happens. So always have an extra person that can vouch for you and that can vouch for what happened. And don't go to spaces that you're not supposed to be in the first place. Because when you hear of unfortunate stories, very unfortunate stories of girls being raped or people being sexually assaulted or people being injured, it's like, well, what were you doing then in the first place at that time in the night? So my aunt didn't just say, "Oh, okay, don't go anywhere." Oh, she explained the why behind it, and I'm really grateful for that. More things that come to my mind is, oh, situational awareness. It's something I'm building, and how they've been able to give me those values is explain the why behind the importance of having situational awareness, because you don't know when things are going to go wrong until they go wrong. So being aware of your surroundings and not using your phone. I have this bad habit of using my phone in the car or on the bus. And then I remember the first time I drove my family to church, and I was like, okay, do I turn here? Do I do this? What do I do? And my uncle was like, Davina, all the time I've been telling you to not use your phone while I've been driving. Now you don't know the way to church. Something that we do every Sunday. And I was like, okay, now I know the reason behind it. So in short, I would say, don't just say because I said so. In my
Mm,
opinion, that's very, very destructive, because you're letting your kids follow blind obedience. They don't know the reason behind it. So, to the best of your ability, share the reason. I do understand that there are some things that parents are able to understand that I'm not able to understand because I have limited experience, but do
mm,
your best to shed some light. So, I'm not just doing this because I want to please my mom, or I'm not just because even though if I was just doing all the different safety tips my aunt has given me just so that I can have peace, when she's not there, what will I do then if I don't understand the why behind it? So that's the summary.
always remember to give them the reason when you're communicating anything to them. Thank you very much. That is so, so, so beautiful. And I love that part that you brought to it. It takes a village. You know, when we say it takes a village to raise a child, right? We are always skeptical. We don't want to, my child, oh, don't go to uncle's place and all that. That is what's our generation and the generation behind us. That's what they are doing. They don't even want their children to mix. And I see a lot of wisdom that Davina is giving out. She said it. She's not being raised by her parents alone, and this is an 18-year-old. You see that family thing. That family thing. It takes a village. So, and she said something about it's not just those stop don't do that. Give the reason. When you say don't do that, because I'm an adult, because I'm older than you, because I'm your mother, these children also have brains. They also can process. And she said something that, yeah, she might not really understand it the way you understand it, but please, can you explain? And this is what our children are asking us. I'm sure some of us, we are remembering instances with our children. So thank you very much for bringing that to our attention. We will start paying attention and we'll be intentional in explaining the reason why. And so psychologically, it is also saying their prefrontal cortex is not mature enough to process information the way we will process it, to reason logically. And that is why we all know that we have those children. Don't do that. I said, why? But mommy, why now? But mommy, explain. I said, don't do it. I'm your mother. That's why I'm saying it. They have the brain. Explain to them. I have a nephew who, when you're talking to him, he's trying to put the picture in his head. So if you're telling him, don't do this, he will just be confused because he likes to picture anything you are telling him. He is very slow in responding, but we have come to understand that he just wants to process what you're saying and put the picture in his mind. And that's how it sticks with him. So we might want to start being intentional in relating with our children. Thank you very much, Davina. Oluwabamshe, are you still there?
Very
So
much.
this question, I'm going to ask you this question because you are the guy. And the question is, what is one thing you feel like your parents or adults in your life don't understand about your generation? Do you get that? What is one thing you feel we don't understand, your parents and adults around you don't understand about your generation?
Okay, I think one, so, so place your hand on that one thing. is a challenge. But I think one thing would be our manner of expression. And I'm sorry, there is more than one, but I'm mixing it. It also has a thing to do with like our trusting our sense of judgment. So it's like um how do I explain this now?
Please say it
Yeah,
as it is coming. Don't try to polish it. Say it
no,
anyhow
no,
to
no.
us.
Yeah.
We are
So
ready to
this
take it.
okay. So basically, what I'm saying is there has to be how do I like there's a way we want to express ourselves that sometimes doesn't make sense and put it that way. Like and then towards expressing ourselves can be in different forms. Expressing myself can be in what I wear. Expressing myself can be in the colors I choose to use, like to represent myself. So there are people that are very particular about their colors, like all their items must come in a particular color and all that. It might be a bit strange, but it just gives them a type of they just feel like they are proper when all their things are the colors they want them to be. Like they might be blue and everything around them, they just always want it to be blue. So that's their own way of expressing themselves, but it can be weird. And it also goes like to the other traditional things like how you keep your hair, how you maintain your hair, how you dress, the type of things you wear, the accessories you use. Um, isn't it feminine to use a particular type of um, particular type of hand accessory or body accessories, right? But like fashion is evolving in the scope of what fashion is evolving. So everything else is evolving. So what at like 10 years ago, what would have been considered a feminine piece of clothing or a feminine jewelry now might not be considered like feminine. Like I'm not it's just like saying nobody made this thing to be only for females. It was just that that's how we met it. But now we have realized that men can also do this thing and do it moderately and it's fine. I know that like 2001 things is going to show your mind is what I'm saying. But it's just what it is. Some some of the things that would be considered feminine, some please, some is no longer considered feminine anymore. Like when it comes to the fashion world and that's also another way of expressing like that's another way of expression. But sometimes, like I said, it doesn't make sense. Some people in the colors they do their nails, all those little details. So I feel like it can never really make sense to
To us.
like no matter how hard you try, you might just want to stay there and say, okay, and be supportive, but to you is like God, just take control.
You're
So
still
like
calling God on this matter.
but for you, it's like it's not that like, I'm fine. It's just what I feel like. So yeah,
Thank you very much, Tabina. Oluwabamishe. Guys, parents in the house, did you hear that? Just allow them. They said they know what they are doing. Eh? We are now in the era of female child liking blue, not pink. They don't want pink. Some of them don't want pink anymore. And you know how we stereotype it: boys, blue, girls, pink. My niece that is always doing, hi guys. She does not like pink. She likes black. A 12 years old liking black. That's weird, isn't it? so the first time she said, what's your best color? I said black. I'm like, Who likes black at the age of 12? What's that? I said, but that's what I like. I was trying to explain it. She said, I knew you would say that. I was saying that, because she's lazy, she doesn't want to wash. And she said, that's not it. I just don't like pink. You know how we think. I was just trying to say, you just want to be lazy. You don't want to wash. That's why you want black and all that and all that. The mommy in me came out. So these children, we need to really sit down to understand them. The truth of the matter is you cannot lead a generation you don't understand. You cannot pass down anything. You will be sowing the seed, it will be dying. You will sow the seed, it will die. I'm trying to use the definition of legacy that Davina said. Sowing a seed in the garden that you will not see. It will not even germinate if we don't take time to understand them and know how to pass the message across. Davina said something the other time about using the phone and all that. How can we? So I was just thinking, so how can we pass down legacy in this technology world? How can we merge it? How can we harmonize it to make sense to these children? Bamishe just said something that, please, we are not for stereotype. We understand that we have a mind. We can make a decision. And that's what they didn't allow us. We were conditioned by fire, by force. We were not allowed to use our own mind to think, to say, this is how I feel. This is what I want from inside. We were not allowed to do that. But these children, they see a lot of things. They're exposed to a lot of things that has grown and helped them know that they have their mind. They can be who they want to be. And they are operating from that perspective. That's what's leading their life. So we need to understand how their mind works. And that means you need to pay attention and be intentional with the way you relate with your children. Thank you very much, Davina and Oluwabamishi. The last question is, what's one takeaway or message you'd like to share with us, your parents? So I want Davina to respond to that question and Oluwabamishi respond to that question. Then we go into the session with Mommy Mo. So Davina, what's one takeaway you'd like to share with us about how to support you in taking a positive legacy, in imbibing a positive legacy as a takeaway? Yeah, thank you.
Like Bamishi said before, it's really hard to choose just one thing. So almost like how he talked on different things at the same time talking on one thing, I'm going to do the same. And the first thing that comes to my mind right now is relating to raising kids to be independent, but also dependent. Independent in the sense that I can't be calling my mom. She said, okay, she will answer me, but I can't be calling my mom at 11:50 p.m. to know if I should do my assignments. Or if there are situations in university that you can't just call your parents constantly. You can't just call your auntie every single time. So being able to raise your kids to be able to trust themselves and trust them. So what I mean is that my parents, this is an assumption, my parents aren't here physically with me, but I believe that they know I'm living life properly. And where dependence now comes is I should still be able to ask for help if I need to. So being able to raise your kids, where you give them guidance, but you also let them make their own decisions. Because at the end of the day, who will be the one to bear the consequences of that decision? Me. What program I choose for university, it's still going to be me. As long as I tell my parents, okay, why do I want to choose this program? They'll be like, okay, no problem. Then another side is relating to connecting family, etc. And like Bamishe said before, a lot of the things, like where I am currently in life, is as a result of not just my parents and like people that raised me, but also my decisions. I've gotten to that point where I have to be accountable for the decisions I make. And where the state of my relationship with my cousins that I've referred to is not just because of my uncles and my dad and my mom, it's also because of me and them. So raising us, yes, to value connection. And as much as people are raised by a village and it takes a village to raise a child, the quality of the village, like you can't just let anyone enter. So raising us to be able to determine, okay, who do we want in our village? Because as the same way my mom's friends and my dad's friends joined in raising me today, I want to be able to pick good people, good influences to raise my kids in the future. When I'm not present, either because I travel or I'm not there. So one, raising us to be independent, think for ourselves, but also know that we can ask for help if we need. Two, I've almost even lost myself in the train of thought.
To trust themselves.
Trust ourselves, yes. And now being able to have genuine connections with family members and
Yeah.
friends and being able to tell, okay, who do we want in our lives and who don't? Like what values do we want in our own lives and what do we not want in our own lives?
Beautiful, beautiful. That is so, so, so intelligent. Thank you so much, Davina. You know, I will always come for you. And I'm so glad at the young lady you're becoming. And I ask that God will continue to keep you. So, sending you hugs from here. So, Oluwabamishe, what's one takeaway you'd like to share with us as parents? You're muted.
Sorry. So I think my takeaway would be that you would have to find a way to understand your child. On like, you should try to find a way to like just relate with them on their level, sort of, and try and see things from their perspective or see things beyond how it's playing out at the moment. But first, I even want to mention on like what Davina said, which is like raising your child to be dependent and independent. So, like I said, my parents did a good job in raising me. So I've been raised with a mindset where like everybody like we do things for each other. It's like there's a connection. So and it's like so great to the extent that if someone needs something, like if I feel like I have a big project and I mention it to my dad, his next response is, we'll tell everybody. So like we'll say it's everybody, this is what I want to do. Oh yeah, this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do, this is what I'll do. And everybody will make sure that that one person's thing is done. So but at the same time, it was not it also came with the knowledge that you will not just come and say, I want to do a project, I need to do 50K. I want to do a project, I need to do 50K, I've raised 100K. Then you can be rest assured that that 150 to fall out. Everybody will find a way to make it come out. But so that balance was you're not waiting for anybody to tell you what to do. If you need something, you can always ask. Even it doesn't always have to be that you raise that knowledge is just there. Like you need to try. So it's not just saying, oh, I want to do this, but like I want to do this, even if I've not been able to raise anything. I know we can get it from here. I found it here, it's cheaper here, and all that. Like great stuff. But I was saying that we also need to understand, like, like we feel like we need to be understood beyond the things that are happening. Now, I would explain that by saying, for example, you have a child that generally like things are fine, and then you just realize all of a sudden that it's like this person is maybe moving slower to stuff, like responding slower and all that. Instead of just like going the person out and I don't want to use the word shouting now and
Use it. We shout. We know that we shout. Thank you.
shouting that
We know that we shout.
why you slow? Why you this one? Why you that one? Like sometimes I guess, but like can you just even wait and just like think about what happened to me? So there's this meme that I'm sure Davina can relate. It's like children are having mental breakdown in their room, but their father will still call them to come and wash plates. So something like something is really hot that's happening between you and your friend, and like you are going at it, and in the midst of everything, you're just like, oh my god, you just hear Bamishe, what happened the gate? Or you just like, or come and carry this water from here, like something that is you just be like, "Ah, I don't even, I can't even, my emotions can't, I can't even feel. So like all those like little things sometimes it's like sometimes allow me. So you don't know what the child is coming out from, and then you said you should not open the gate, and then because I'm not running, they are now complaining that why you slow, why you slow. So you're now adding your own why you slow to all my emotional breakdown already. I'll just collapse. You now be asking me later that what's wrong with you? I'll not be able to say anything because I'm already
Mommy Mo, that is one issue I need you to talk to speak on when we get there. Because it is true now, but we want you to come and open the gates. How do we know that you are going through your own? Are we going to say, Babi Sheo, are you in the right mood? Come and open the gate, please. So these are unconscious things that happen to our children that we are not aware of. Like, I'm going through my own, and you are calling me to say, okay, I will wash the plate. I want you to wash it now.
ah,
Mommy, but we are not using the plate now. I will wash it. He's saying it's possible that I'm having a a meltdown, kind of. I'm not just happy. I'm not in the mood. It's different from when it is every day that they call you to wash plates. And this is, Mommy Mo, you will help us. So. Meanwhile, thank you very much, Oluwabamiche. It's just been an interesting evening with you guys, and I really, 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 really appreciate it. So I have two questions in the chat session. Mommy Mo, please, I know that it's past 8 already, but please, I want them to respond. I just want to pick their brain as regards to this question here. If a child likes the color black and wants to paint his wall color black, how can parents who cringe counsel him? He also loves vampire movies. Please. Because I don't know how a child will like vampire movie. We used to run away from scary movies when we were younger. And another question said, how can parents really understand their children who keeps changing? Children will change year in, year out. But then, Davina, do you want to answer any of the questions?
Yes, I would love to. When I saw the first one and when I saw the second one, I was like, oh, I have something really quick and interesting to say. Relating to the second one, because that's the one I can really relate to the most, or more than the other one, is that I understand a bit what it means to change consistently. And I've seen the way I was at 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, even now to 18. And I'm like, who are all these different versions of Davina? And where has she gone and where has she come to? So my parents and the people around me have been able to really understand, not really understand, but understand me to a good amount by just keeping in touch with me. And what I mean is, I remember at 13, no, 14, I liked making graphic designs and I really enjoyed it and so on and so forth. And for some reason, I dropped it. And one of my family friends, Mr. Carl Ogu, I call him Uncle Carl, and he was basically the one that taught me everything I know relating to graphic designs. And when he would see that, okay, one day I'll pick it up, one day I'll drop it, another day I'll pick it back again, I was even telling him, he never showed extreme disappointment in me. Because at that point, I didn't really need someone to scold me. I just needed someone to understand that, okay, at this time, I'm not doing this. But when I was ready to learn again, guess who was there? He was there. He was there anytime I was like, okay, please, can you teach me how to make this video? He was very present. So just letting them know that, okay, we love the different phases of you right now. And you know that whichever phase you're in, we are welcoming you with open arms. Because at 13, 14, down to 18 or 19, no one wants to feel that, okay, they can't run to their parents. I don't think anybody likes that they can't run to their parents when they need help. So that's one. And more of understanding that, okay, he or she will change for the good, for the better. I just have to make sure that I nudge them in the right direction. Being like a micromanager or a helicopter mom wouldn't really help, where you're trying to focus too much on, okay, I want to see how they're going to change. I'm trying to control everything. No, that's almost choking. Then relating to the first question on how to counsel your kid in this moment, I everything I'm saying is based on not personal experience right now because I never had a vampire phase of my life. But I'm guessing that letting your kid know that, okay, like, what do you like about these things? Just understanding and come from a tone of understanding, not from a tone of judgment. What do you like about these things? Instead of, what do you like about these things now? There's a difference, I would say. And then also letting them know that in this family, we don't, things relating to death and wrongful resurrection, we don't do that kind of thing. So letting them know. I know my sister had a horror phase where she liked watching horror movies, and my parents constantly told her that we don't do this in our house. And eventually she got the message. So that's my 2 cents.
Thank you very much. Bamsha, do you have anything to add to the response to the question?
Yeah, thank you. So first, I'd like to talk about the latter as well. We have different phases. I personally think that sometimes, I'm not sure, but I feel like maybe like the phases, maybe guys don't go through a lot of them, but we have our phases. And for that, I kind of, where I learned it in, was in a show I was watching, and this teenage guy was just feeling some type of way. And then his dad tried to speak to him and he opened up about everything. And then his dad just told him that it's a phase, that at the end of the day, like we all go through different phases. And this one is also past. So it kind of just stuck with me then and it has resonated with me for life. Like everything that I'm going through is a phase. And then also like in our feelings and how we express ourselves, we have phases. Like I was saying that someone could be attached to like a particular color or something. At a particular time, the color they're attached to can be different. They might just want to explore another color. And so um now moving to the first point of the child with like that loves black. Like Davina said, it's very important to approach with the right tone. It kind of it does the like I feel like that's the most important thing in communication. So your tone of communication is greater than what has been said. So if you say the right thing but you don't say it the right way, you don't get results. So you need to like the way you ask is very important. So you need to come like you actually want to understand why you like black. What do you actually like in these things? Explain it to me. Let's let's relate. Like make me understand. And then you could even suggest, even when you're not in agreement, you suggest, like actually still look at that thing and try to make it make sense and say, okay, instead of just doing it, do like nice designs and everything. And it looks like they now add like green to it. So it looks like a force is coming. Like just don't just say black. Or you now say, okay, let me hear why it's like black. Then so all those things you have not said no, you have not said you don't want it. Like the
Yeah.
way you even responded to what I've said, I just feel like think I just waste my time trying to explain myself. So and then it goes further and it can do like a larger it can have a larger impact than what you think. he can stick with that child for like the rest of his life, where it just feels like if I explain, you're never really going to get it. And it might just be that one time that okay, you felt like okay, since you're asking me now, let me say it, and then you just at the end of the day, you're just like it can be very it can have a great impact. So
Thank you
that's
very much.
yeah, yeah,
Thank you very much, Oluwabamishe. That was really, really brilliant. Guys, mommies and daddies in the room, what do you have to tell these amazing children? Bamishe, thank you very much. I enjoyed every session with you. And you, Davina, thank you very, very, very much. Guys, where are the mommies? You see, you're not celebrating them, oh. Please celebrate my guests. Thank you so much. You're such inspiration. Yes, role models. Absolutely. Thank you so much. Thank you very much. And now we move to the mommy in the house. She is our baby boomer. So she's going to balance everything for us. And she's going to say it in the baby boomer way. Oluwabamishe and Davina, I would appreciate if you can wait, but if you have other things to do, then thank you very much. You can take your leave. So I have Mrs. Modupe Ehirim in the house. If any of you have heard Mommy Ehirim speak before, I'm sure you know that we are into to get to garner insights, lessons this evening. Those children have set the table. They have set it already, and Mommy Ehirim she's going to build on it. Mrs. Ehirim is the founder and the lead counselor at the Right Fit Marriage Academy, and works with men and women to become persons that their spouses look forward to coming home to. Using the Right Fit Marriage program, Mrs. Ehirim guides young professionals to intentionally design and build healthy and long-lasting marriages. She is a certified SYMBIS, that Save Your Marriage Before It Starts facilitator. The SYMBIS assessment gives you a personalized roadmap to making your marriage everything it was meant to be. She's also a certified family systems engineering practitioner. The network of family practitioners comprises of professionals who work to restore dignity to human relationships in marriage, parenting, and family life. Mrs. Modupe Ehirim has varied experiences. She graduated with a first-class honor in chemical engineering from the University of Ife, now Obafemi Awolowo University, in 1980. She then worked with the Central Bank of Nigeria, building and engineering services for 17 years before setting up a specialty retail bookshop business, which she operated for 13 years. She has served on the National Executive Committee of 2 business membership organizations, Christian Bookshop Association Nigeria, and NECA's Network Entrepreneurial Women. She is currently a member of the board of Oasis International, publishers of the Africa Study Bible, and chair board of the Africa Speaks 2018 Trust. Mrs. Modupe Ehirim, an avid reader, is passionate about relationships and marriages. She mentors young people, helping them to chart their life's path. She teaches one marriage topic daily in the Right Fit Marriage Academy, a Facebook community that currently has over 19,000 members. She is also the counselor on the popular weekly relationship and marriage show, Mama's Corner. Mama's Corner AM on Wazobia 95.1 FM radio. She is the author of Marriage is Not a Trap and 30 Reasons Why Couples Quarrel About Money. Of Yoruba origin, she's happily married to Mr. Boniface, a husband of over 37 years, who is of Igbo origin. Together, they have 4 children. Ladies and gentlemen in the house, we are taking the reclaiming our heritage to another level as I use the mic to Mommy Modupe Ehirim. Please, ladies and gentlemen, can you give a shout out in the chat session to welcome Mommy Mo? Welcome, Mama.
Thank you, Ebu, for having me. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ma. Yes, Ma. So I yield the mic to you, Ma.
Okay, so you just want me to talk?
Yes, ma'am. I want you to talk, then people will ask you questions because I also want to learn all these things these children are saying. I'm as well guilty. I don't. Ladies and gentlemen, please be ready to ask your questions. Be ready. Yes. Thank you, Ma.
Thank you very much for having me. And thank you, everyone. I know that this meeting has lasted much longer than it usually would, but it's good that we had the children speak. And I like the fact that they had the confidence to even speak, knowing that the people they were speaking to were their parents. Thank you very much, the Eleshins and Oluwabamishe's parents. You've done a great job that your children can do this. I think that I'm glad that they are here. I wish that, people, their peers were also more in this meeting, because I like to say that the things that we need to do in order to ensure that legacies continue to be passed on isn't conversation that we can have in isolation or in silos. So it's not that older people will sit down and talk about it, and then younger people will sit down and talk about it. It's really something that all of us need to sit together, the same way that our parents used to live in the village. I like the things that Davina and Oluwabamishe said, and the things that, as they were saying, the things that they wished that adults knew or that their parents knew, I was remembering my sister. She's actually here on the call listening. And one of the things that my sister used to say to me as a parent is, remember when you were a teenager. And then she would say, and you turned out fine. Essentially, what she was saying when she made those statements to me is to remind me that the way that my children feel about my parenting or my husband's parenting is the same way we too felt about our parents' parenting. So essentially, as seasons are changing, as times are changing, changes are happening. The only thing is that in today's world, the changes are seismic in proportion. Seismic, SEISMIC, seismic in proportion. So whereas before the changes that would happen from generation to generation, you almost could not notice that the changes were happening. But like in the last 20, 30 years, the changes that are happening are earthquake proportions. And I'm going to give you illustrations to help you to understand it. So when I was going to school, everybody went to school in the town they were born, went to secondary school. Maybe you go to university. I remember that when my parents were letting me go to Federal Government College Ilorin, their friends were asking them, what is she going to do? Because all my friends and their own children were going to school in Lagos. So now compare it to today's world where Davina is in Canada, not a place that her parents can't just jump into the car and go. That's one illustration to help you to understand the changes that have happened. The second is that in 2003, when GSM was still new, I had a Samsung phone. That Samsung phone was made by the corporation that is making the Samsung phones that we are using today. That Samsung phone could only do SMS and calls.
Yeah.
So there was no such thing as internet. In fact, 40 years ago when I got married, there was no internet, there was no telephone. Not every home had a telephone because Nitel couldn't even provide telephone. Yeah. So essentially to communicate, you wrote a letter. It took 3 weeks to get to the person you wrote it to. And then the person also wrote back. Now compare anyone who grew up in that era to somebody who is growing up in today's world. Yeah. Even if they were seeing, even if they believed the same things, there's still going to be a problem. Why? Because the people who are living in today's world, everything is native to them. The people who are living, people like me, so if somebody wanted to buy 100,000 naira phone today, a young person, they won't think it's expensive. If I get told to buy 100,000 naira phone, the first thing that comes to my head is that in my entire life, my salary never reached 100,000 naira a month. So when I hear that amount, I'm just thinking, how can he spend 1 month's salary or more than a month's salary on a phone? And that is going into the conversation, even though we are not conscious of it. Now, if we're to pass legacy, if we're to get things that are important to us to move from one generation to another, I think the first thing that we have to understand as older people is that practices are not what is important. Systems are what is important. What do I mean by practices are not what is important, but systems? So way back when I was a child, my grandmother visited us and she referred to my auntie as my mom. Yoruba language, my meniye. And I just looked my grandmother on the face, and that was like 50 years ago. And I told her very candidly that my auntie is not my mom. My auntie is my auntie. And she tried to help me to understand, and she was offended, and she reported to my mom. And my mom then sat with her and explained to her that truly they teach them these things in English in school, and there is a separation. Secondly, the city is different from the village. In the village, you can call her mame because everybody knows everybody and everybody is safe. In the town, if you allow your child not to recognize who is a relative and the right relation, you can expose that child to abuse. Because mame conveys that there is safety. And so when a child is allowed to refer to everybody as mama, there is an understanding of safety, which can bring a harm to that child. But my mom didn't stop at explaining to my grandma. She also then turned to me and helped me to understand what my grandma was saying. I didn't need to change the language, but I understood that my grandma was using a language which I at first did not understand. I'm sharing all of these things with us because it's very important for us, old and young, to understand that we value the same things. Oluwamishe talked about, his parents having passed on. I find myself in the situation that, he also was in. And so there are things that you cannot get. However, there is a way to look at life. Everybody exists in a community. In the past, the community was geographically co-located. I want us to understand that community was geographically co-located. In all the years that I was having children, until my parents died, I lived in the same city with my parents. My sisters and their family lived in the same city. That afforded us opportunity to do a lot of things. Now, what did that afford us to do? After church on Sunday, you and your siblings can congregate in your parents' house. Yeah. At Christmas, you and your family can congregate together. On birthdays, you can congregate together. All of that is beautiful, and we can continue to look back at it. But our lives have changed. We're having to do families without being geographically co-located. When I say practices is not what you need, systems is what you need. What I mean is, it doesn't matter the amount of longing and praying that you are saying, I'm praying for the day that my sister's children and my children all will be in the same location. That is really going to be difficult in today's world. However, when you and your family gathered together, what was the intent of that gathering at the time? What was it meant to achieve? And so, if you carry that intent into today's world, where you are not geographically co-located, how can you do it? what can you, how can you have those gatherings even though they are not in person? How can you do a number of things? I read somewhere, and we also practice it in our own family groups, in my family. It's just common to wake up in the morning and go to our WhatsApp group and say good morning. Why? Because that's what we will also do if we were at home.
Yeah.
If you do that, for example, if your children are far away, you don't need to knock them on the head that they don't ask after family members. Why? Because when everybody says good morning in the WhatsApp group and good night in the WhatsApp group and say, how are you doing? What's going to happen over time is that when somebody notices that somebody is not saying good morning for a couple of days, they're going to wonder what's happening to them, which is what used to happen when we were living, when we were geographically co-located. So I would say that. The second thing I would say, the young people have said it. Practices don't, don't convey the principles that are behind them. It's like in the old days, when they will say, don't go out in the dark because masquerade will carry you. Now, in today's world, street light is everywhere. You can carry a torch. If you tell a child, don't go out in the dark, masquerade will carry you, the child will say, I'm going to take my torch. And then you'll be feeling this thing. You've got to carry your communication into today's world and understand all of what is happening in today's world and then use it. Then they also mentioned something about, teaching them to be independent. I remember the first time it was on Oprah that I watched it, and she said, if there are things your child needs to know as an adult, you need to start teaching it to them as a child. And on that day, she gave an illustration of how you will teach it. She said, if you want your child to be taking the bus by themselves, then you have first of all, even though you have all these nice luxurious cars, you have first of all got to go with them in a bus to the destination. Go with them a couple of times, then go with them, and as you're going with them, point out the bus stops, and things like that. Then one day you walk with them to the bus stop and you allow them to go by themselves. Then one day you then go on and allow them to walk to the bus stop and you debrief the experiences. In short, Oprah was saying that you don't teach your children something by instructing them. You teach them by actually walking them through the process and letting them know the why. So, of course, hearing these, I decided to start taking my children in bus, and I went with them to Agege Market. In fact, when we got to the bus stop in our area, as the conductors were shouting Agege, Agege, my children were just clinging to me. They were so afraid. You could see that they did not know anything by themselves, and they were already in secondary school at this time. So we went in the market, they'll be dodging, they just could not, they didn't want anybody to touch them. And I just held my head and realized that I was a modern parent, but I was not helping my children to become independent. So that's what the children are saying, what Oluwabamishi and Davina was saying, that, you've got to remember that we won't always be children.
Yeah.
We're going to eventually become adults. If we're to become adults who can make smart decisions, if we're to become adults who can take responsibility, you need to begin to allow us to do it at home. And actually, my personal perception about how God intends for us to live is that when your children are at home, by the way that you are behaving, by the way that you communicate, by the way that you make decisions, your children are learning from you. When they start going to school, they have an opportunity to practice what it is that you have taught them, and they can come back and give you feedback, and then you can debrief them so that by the time they're 21, they'd be able to do a lot of things. Many people look at me as a pretty independent person, but way back still in the 70s, when it is time to go to school, my father we would sit at dining table, all the children with him, and everybody will be presenting what they want to take to school. Bread is now 10 naira, it was 5 naira last time, and the biscuit is now this, and in fact, I now need 2 pairs of socks because I grow fast very quickly. and then you will total it and say, this is how much is required. And my father would then listen to you and also say, wow, you have done a very good job of helping me to understand what you need. However, my salary has not increased since last time. And therefore, I will not be able to give you everything that you have asked, but I will look at it and see what I can do. Now, who discusses what they're supposed to, who discusses such things with their children? Well, my father did. And the truth really is that what he was doing there was schooling me and helping me to understand that parents don't just, money doesn't just drop from heaven. Many things happen for parents to be able to get the things that they give to their children. And when it was time to go to school, my dad would, I can never forget, all my classmates were going to, well, not all my classmates, let me not exaggerate. Many of my classmates were going to the UK and the US for their degree courses. And I told my father I wanted to go, and he allowed me to apply. Then he called me and he sat me down and said, you know, you're a fantastic girl. You have done excellently well in school, but I need to help you to understand. If I send you abroad and I'm paying your fees, I will not have money to educate your siblings. What was my father doing then? I was a 16-year-old, and my father was bringing me in to understand the place of the family and how to look at things. Imagine going through such a thing. It's not surprising that I'm the kind of adult that I am now. It's not just adult maturity that came to me. It's also that gradually from when I was a child, my parents had been helping me to understand what life is about. I agree that today's world is more dangerous, but it is only more dangerous in our eyes. Because imagine a person who grew up in a village where nobody went outside. And then those people also came to the city and now had to be looking after their children. When my own parents were in Lagos in 1963, they had no relative around them. So it meant that anybody they gave their child to was a stranger. So these things that we are afraid of is not today that danger is around us. However, as parents, we must ask ourselves, what do we want our 30-year-old daughter to look like? What do we want our 30-year-old son to look like? And then from 5-year-old, you start putting yourself in a mind space that helps you to understand what that child needs to know, not in the world that you lived in, but in the world that they are now living in. My father used to say to us then, he said, okay, this thing, I don't know it, it didn't exist in our own time. Can you go and find out how they're doing it and come back and tell me, and then we will put our heads together and see how we're going to do it. Today, as a parent, I do the same for my children because I don't know, there was no 24-hour TV when I was having my children. How can I understand remote work and, you know, being in a meeting with people across continents, you know, and so on and so forth? I'll close with this. My son used to sit up at night and to work on his laptop. I used to think that he was fooling around until he told me that an international publisher had accepted his manuscript. And I asked him, when did you write the book? And he told me, you know, mommy, in the night when you see me working on my computer, that's it. That book I submitted, I have other scripts. I have movie scripts that I have written and so on and so forth. So all the time that I was fasting and praying that the internet should not carry my son away, my son was actually not being carried anywhere by the internet. He was doing productive work based on things that he had learned from me. So I would say to us as parents, if legacy is to be passed on, let us keep fear away from us. The ground has shifted, yes, seismic proportions, but still the principles of life remain the same. Do not force practices on your children. Instead, think deeply into the principles that are lying below the practices that you are familiar with. Take the principles out and translate them into the practices of today. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mommy Mo. That was very beautiful. And I know that you were going to share stories. I like to hear, to listen to stories, to listen to and remind us of how we also grew up. Because at times some of us we are beginning to forget some of those things. And so when we were traveling together the other time, you said a lot of things. You raised different stories about how you grew up. And that helped me to also remember and make me feel, okay, so I'm not the only one that is always feeling this way. So I'm sure that a lot of us in the room, we are also thinking, I'm not the only one that is feeling this way. I'm not the only one that maybe the children will say you are old school. Thank you so much, Mommy
But
Mo.
you are
Guys,
old
I
school now.
was expecting Mommy Mo, I'm a millennial, I'm not baby boomer. Thank you very much, Ma. Thank you so much. Guys, do we have any question for Mommy Mo? The question I will ask Mommy Mo is, what do you hope your legacy will be? And how do you want to be remembered by your family and community? I know that if you share, it will also help some of us to start thinking. When Davina was talking about how she wants to be, I was like, 18-year-old, what's that? What does she know? And she's already having, and this is how they think. Oh, some of us don't understand this thing. In fact, when you said I'm old school, in my head, I'm saying, God forbid, I'm still a babe. Thank you so much, Ma.
What do I want my family to remember me as, to remember me for? I think that, I don't have any new legacy I want to pass on. I just want the legacy that my parents passed on to me and my siblings to be kept. Our family's, you would say, motto is no one should be left behind. No one should be left behind doesn't mean that all of us must do the same things and all of us must walk in the same direction, but it does mean that we will not do family in such a way that we lose any of us. That's the thing. And when my mom died and we asked all her grandchildren to write tributes, it was very intriguing to me that even though they didn't consult one another, they all wrote the same things. And what did they write? They wrote that my mom drew them all to herself. So each one of them had a story of how my mom made them feel as though they were the only individual in the world. And then, they used words to describe the values that she passed on to them. One, being family. Two, living with integrity. Three, being compassionate towards other people. So if you come to my family, for example, now, we know that my father, it was the kindness of someone who we, his heritage, never met that helped him in life. So it has become for us a family legacy that in honor of the person who paved the way for all of us, because if he didn't support my father, I wouldn't be who I am today. So you can't meet any of my parents' children or grandchildren who is not reaching out to pick up somebody and just say, I'm going to show kindness. And not show kindness in the sense of I give them a stipend or anything, but literally adopting this person and saying, life didn't give you an opportunity. I'm going to be God's channel of giving you an opportunity in life. Now, did anybody sit down to begin to teach my parents' grandchildren that this is the way you should live? No. However, every time they visited my parents, they saw Elewedu sitting down, my mom asking, so this child, how is this child doing? Ologi comes, my mother will ask, my father will ask, the school you say she wanted to go, is she now going? We saw them genuinely caring about people. And so it just, and they saw us, their parents, also do that. And so it has become something. And that's really how legacy is passed on. That's why I said more. If I said something last Saturday at an event I went to, I said, if you have a 15 to 18-year-old child and you are not happy with that child, please step back. But you need to go back and audit how you parented that child. What I mean by audit how you parented that child is look at how you lived, look at the way you behaved, look at how the people around that child behaved, because it is highly likely that the attitudes and the behavior that child has now was picked up from you. We don't like to hear that, but
Yeah.
it is the reality, because the child just was watching you and took what they believed is acceptable from you, just the way you were doing it. When they get into their teens is when you see that behavior. And half the time, the reason you are angry is because you are seeing things you don't like about yourself in your child, and you are afraid that that child will carry it forward. Now, when you do that audit, you need to realize the way you teach an adult is different from the way you teach a child. So you can't now discover these things that need to be redone and now be teaching the child as though they were 6 years old. It becomes an adult-adult relationship. And one of the things I always say is that when you get to that place, one of the first things you want to do with your child is to say, you know what, I've done an audit. And I see that there are many things that I should have passed on to you, which I haven't passed on to you. I apologize. When you're apologizing in that way is teaching your child the biggest lesson, because if you can help your child to understand that I too can make a mistake, your child will not be reluctant to admit their own mistakes to you. And then you say to them, you know what? Me and you need to go on a journey. Because of the experience I have had in life, if you don't learn these things, you are going to pay a high price for it. I don't want you to pay such a high price for it. So instead of me leaving you to learn by experience, let's begin the lessons together so that in another couple of years, because you are now an adult and you will learn faster, you will actually cover a lot of grounds. I don't know any child that you would relate with in that way over time who would not be open to you. So please, let's do that as well.
Wow. Thank you so much, Mommy Mo. You know, when you were talking about Ologi will come, Elewedu will come, and all that, I also remember that that's the kind of environment I grew up from, and how my parents showed kindness and all that. And it also reminded me of what Bamishe said, that yeah, he was also raised to be kind to people, but the environment, the society, it's something else now. And it struck a bell in me because I grew up in that kind of free environment, community, different in my family. In fact, the number of children that lived in our house, some of them we don't even know their parents. That's the level of kindness. And my parents were ready to support and help them. But when I got to Lagos, the experience was different. And that made me step back a little because I got bumped a number of times. People see your kindness like, why is this one like this? Are you a bad you know, that kind of a thing. And right from up till now, I still feel uncomfortable. I like to say, okay, let's do this. And you see that people are approaching you with, and it's like, but is that not how life is? It seems to me that it's different in some part of the world. How will you help us balance it? Because I also now notice me telling my daughter, you know that you can't be kind to everybody because people might misinterpret. And I don't want to pass that kind of message to my own child. So what do you think, Momimo?
Okay, important question. Let me share an experience with you. When my children were young, before my first son went to secondary school, we grew up in an environment of, oh, you share, you do things together, and so on and so forth. Then my child went to boarding house and he shared. And when his provision finished, his classmates did not share with him. When he told me, I felt really bad and I apologized to him. I said, I said I did something wrong. And he said, what? I said, I forgot to tell you that not everybody was raised like you.
Sure.
So at home, safe environment, there are liberties you can take. But when you go, that's why I said you've got to be conscious in your parenting and not just be doing it out of, I don't want my child to be exposed to danger. So there and then we have to review and say, oh no, that when you go out, you have to be present and conscious and watch out that for how people behave and whether they are trustworthy. Because what happened was that he had somebody who he said, oh, your own provision is finished. Okay, I will give you. When my own provision finishes, if you have, you will give me. And the guy said yes. So when this happened, essentially the lesson my son had to learn is not don't share your provisions. It is there are people who will say things to you which they don't mean. And therefore, the additional skill you need to have now is the skill of recognizing who means what they say and who does not mean what they say. Because in life, you're going to be meeting such people. I remember a second experience that he had, because at home we always say, no, don't hit another person, and so on and so forth. And then he was in boarding school and his classmates, his roommates were laughing at him that he's a weakling. That if he's not a weakling, why does he not hit people when he's angry? So on visiting day, he shared this with me again. And again, I had to say to him, I said, oh, you are getting introduced to the world, that there are people who didn't grow up in the same way as you. I now asked my son, I said, which one requires more power from you? To hold yourself back from hitting somebody or to lash out and hit the person? And he said, it's harder for me to keep myself from hitting the person. I said, there you are. So the people who are calling you weak, they don't know that you are a strong person because you are actually stronger than them. Fortunately for me and him on that day, I was standing next to the mother of the boy who was saying all those things to me. So as we got to the teacher, it was open day, then the teacher was saying to the parents, that, your child is very unruly, he hits people, and so on and so forth. And I turned to my son. I said, you see now, teacher may not even have context. Teacher will only see that you hit somebody and teacher will conclude that you're a bad person. That in a community, there are always regulations for dealing with people who did not do what they're supposed to do. And I asked him, in your school, what is the procedure? He said, report to housemaster. And I said, you know the procedure, so you do that. I can't emphasize it enough. Your child has learned things from you at home. When they go out, they'll begin to test those things. It is your duty to reflect, and the world, they don't know it. So you help them to be making those adjustments, because whether you help them or you don't help them, they will be 25. They will need to live away from you. That is when your report card will be given to you, because they would not know. And see, if you don't want your children to end up in abusive relationships, the most precious gift you can give to them is allow them to confidently talk back to you. That is, if you say, this is the way you should go, and they say, why should we go that way? If you allow your children to do that, you are giving them a precious gift. Why? If they can say that to you, if anybody else in this world says to them, you must do this, they will have the courage and the boldness to say, why should I do it? And you would have been training them to become people who actually question things before they agree to it.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. That was really very helpful. For the last question now, I want you to respond to this blessings question that says, how can parents really understand the children who keeps changing? I know Davina and Oluwabamiche said something about it, but we want to hear from the adult perspective.
Interestingly, what the young people said is what I'm going to say. Even me at 66, my husband is wondering, where has the woman I married gone to? So people, please understand, people change. One, there is the natural, the child is growing up change. That's the first thing. Two, layer on it the fact that in today's world, the child of today is stimulated more.
Yeah.
There is a lot that is stimulating the mind of that child. So you, in your mind, you are thinking a 12-year-old ought to be like this. But a 12-year-old of today is not like a 12-year-old of 1970. What the 12-year-old of today has been exposed to is what makes them the kind of person that they are. When you now imagine that what was happening 5 years ago is not what is happening today, that means that child is being stimulated more, and that child is, how do you say it, is changing as the circumstances around them are changing. So one of the things, if you're going to be a great parent to that child, is that you cannot afford to just say, this is the way I am. And your best bet, both Davina and Oluwabamiche said it. Say, now, wow, this new way you are in now, come and explain it to me. That's all you need. And then, be curious. Don't be how can you be thinking that way? We are Christians in this home, that cannot happen and everything. When you do that, all you are doing is closing the door. They won't talk to you, and those things, and they will then perfect the art of presenting one face to you and presenting another kind of face. I always say to parents, which one do you prefer? That even when your child knows that you will not agree with them and criticize them, it is still you they will come to first. Or for them to be so sure that you will not even listen at all, that they just now become one person to you and one person elsewhere. This question is a question that one cannot answer in full. And I always say, parents, you don't know how much is available to you in today's world. I wish it was available when I was a parent of a teenager. Just go to Google and say, my child is changing every day. How do I handle it? You'll be amazed at the amount of resources that will come up. Parents like you who have gone through it, who are sharing their ideas. And you don't have to take anybody's idea. This is a formula that I use. When I do that Google search, you see the first page, all the articles that come out, I be looking at what is there. When I see 10 articles and they are all saying there is one thing that is common in all of them, I will say this one is universal. Let me try it.
Thank you very much. It's been an insightful evening. A lot of wisdom has been gained. Thank you very much, parents. Parents, can I hear you? Who are the parents that are still around? What's one word? I want to hear your aha moment. Thank you so much, Mommy Mo. Thank you very much for always, always, always coming on this show. And I will still be coming. I will still call Mommy Mo. Right now that my mommy has gone, I want to adopt you as my mommy. Let me say it openly. Because really, hey, forget about the 49. It's just a number. There are times you really want to talk to an adult. And you want an adult that understood the way you grew up, not just anybody, because there is a method. There's a pattern that I'm used to. Not all the things that we see out now. It's different. So thank you very much, Mommy Mo. I can see plenty wisdom. Thank you so much. This session is really worthy. Thank you very much, Mommy Mo. Thank you so much. Mommy Mo, I want you to drop maybe your phone number, how people can reach you. Ladies and gentlemen, please, if you need to reach Mommy Mo, you want to book a session, or you want to, like I'm saying, I want to adopt her. If you want to adopt her, Mommy Mo can carry all of us. So, Mommy Mo, can you maybe your Facebook, Instagram handle,
I think
so that people can reach you?
I think the quickest way to connect with me is on Facebook. Modupe Hirim is my name. And frankly, whatever mentoring you want me to mentor you, I think if you go to my Facebook page and you are just scrolling through things,
Reach.
I've been on Facebook writing since 2000. Actually, I've been on Facebook a long time, but from May 2016, that's 9 years now. I've written a lot of things in different ways. And I think that if you're just reading that, you probably are gathering all of my thoughts and experiences. I am known for marriage, but I write generally about life. So Modupe Hirim is where I am on Facebook. You can join my Facebook group, The Right Fit Marriage Academy. You can also follow me on Instagram, The Right Fit Marriage. I'm not, see, let me say one thing to you, which I usually say. It's highly likely that as you have listened to me today, now the next thing you will just want to do is send me a message and want to do a session with me. See, let's just pause. Remember that I'm one human being and I have only 24 hours in a day. And I am a mother and a grandmother and a counselor and everything. So if you actually send me a private message, you have delayed getting any help from me. That's what I would
Wow.
say. For the simple reason that I may not be able to read through everything. That's the reason why I gave you my Facebook page. It is highly likely that any question you will answer me, I have written something already about it. But if you then do need to talk to me, again, Facebook is your best bet. Send me a DM. I even check, when people who are not my friends send me a message, I check it. And then just make sure that if you can write a question that you want an answer to, then you will get an answer. But if you write a lot of stories and I look at it, I will just say, let me save this for another time when I can read it.
I understand. I know that. Thank you very much. I get that aspect of if you write plenty message, I might not be able to read. I understand that. I know that. Thank you very much, Mommy Mo. Thank you once again. I really appreciate the session and I enjoyed it so much. Thank you very much, everyone, for joining. Please let's remember beyond what those children are saying. Let's look. Davina said something that our experience is different from their own experience. They have said it the way it is. I want us to think about it because it is deeper than what they said. This one of the things one of the profound things that they said is don't when you want to correct them, don't come with a tone of judgment. Come with a tone of understanding. They don't want you to micromanage them. In fact, I'm hearing another word this night. Helicopter mom. Don't be an helicopter mom. Davina said, don't be an helicopter mom. Right? They said a lot of things. Raise them to be independent. At the same time, to be dependent. There's a method to all these things. And these children have said a lot. It's so deep. And I will love if you would like to watch this recording because it is being recorded. You go to Facebook. It's on Facebook, Family Center Africa. If you just type Family Center Africa, it will bring admin. If you have the link to the YouTube channel. If you have the link to the YouTube channel, please let's share. And we're going to share it via the email so that everybody can rewatch, and please share with your families and friends. With this, we come to the end of the family meeting, the May edition. Looking forward to seeing you in June when we will be celebrating the Father's Day, and we're going to have amazing men come talk about legacy, come talk about their fears. Men also cry, they are going to talk about all those things, and it's going to be an interesting one. And before you go, just give me 1 minute as we play this video in honor of Blessing Christopher. Thank you very much, everyone, and have a beautiful rest of the evening.
All about saving lives. and marriages. And here I want us to understand that for this month, we are in for a ride because our guests are amazing speakers. They are amazing. They are experts in their field. From where we began. Month of love. But one thing we need to understand is that it's beyond the flowers, the chocolates, the grand gestures, and all of that. So our guests will be letting us know the true meaning of love in marriage. That it's not just
that I'll be standing right here talking to you about another path. I know we love to hit the road and laugh, but something told me that it wouldn't last. Had to switch up, look at things different, see the bigger picture. Those were the days, hard work forever pays. Now I see you in a better place. How can we not talk about family?
Thank you very much, everyone. Have a beautiful rest of the day and happy new month in advance. Bye-bye. Thank you, Mommy Mo. Davina and Oluwabamishe, thank you so much. I love you so, so, so much. Please remember to pray for blessings, parents, her husband, and her children. God bless you.